I'm walking in my purpose. I'm walking in my purpose.
So today with us on Stool Talk, we're honored to have a special guest with us, Bulldog legend. Here on Stool Talk, we walk in our purpose on purpose, and today's guest is definitely walking in her purpose on purpose. We have with us Miss Terry Early. How you doing today?
Hello, hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Track legend, legend at Scott coaching, and even Kentucky State University, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and just got a award, and we just wanted to spotlight you and honor you today on this day for that and talk a little bit about your journey. Can you tell us how your journey started with track and was that the first sport you played and how old were you?
Hmm. My journey started on Woodland Avenue where I grew up, off of between Detroit and Junction, across
Okay.
street from Family Food Center. My dad bought an old tennis racket and from the Goodwill and some balls, and he used to have me hit the ball up against the wall.
Uh-huh.
And then he said, let's work on that eye and hand coordination. We had no clue that track was going to be in the picture. He had me doing that. And then as I went to junior high, I joined the track team. Um, thought because I was short, I love running, but I thought because I was short that I couldn't beat anybody because I was short. Everyone was taller than me. Well, they put me in a race, the 400, and I beat a tall girl from a different middle school. And the rest was history. Like I had the bug. Started loving track more and more every day.
Yeah, when did you realize that you were really good and that you could see yourself even competing at a high level?
Mm. Uh, High school. Um, let's see, I think, so I mainly ran the 400 and 800, but I also ran cross country.
Okay.
And I started running cross country and I started placing in the top 20 out of everybody in the city for the city cross country meet. And I was like, wow, I'm the only woman of color, young lady of color, that's
Yeah.
placing in the top 10. So that's when I realized I was like, okay, I'm an endurance runner. Like I can do this. And then I ended up perfecting the 800. That was my very best event was the 800.
And I'm just thinking about the 400 because I ran the four and that was something. You ran the 800, you four and the eight. Wow.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, yes. Um, 4 was my second best race, but the 8 was definitely you gotta run that first lap. I always ran out in front of everyone, and then whatever kind of endurance that cross country gave you and everything else gave you, and my running the mile, it helped me take that race to the end on that
yeah.
second lap.
You face any difficulties or adversities coming up running track? I know you said in cross country you're the only minority really placing. Even in track, was it anything that you had to go through, any fights, any things you had to overcome?
No, track and field is such a I met all kind of people from all over the state.
Mm.
And even our coach, Willie Oliver, took us to New Jersey he took us out of state to different meets. And I always, just met different people from different towns, sitting there stretching, waiting for your event. A track meet, it takes the whole day. It starts at 8 in the morning and never ends until the mile relay late in the evening around 6. So all that time sitting there keeping your body warm, and you just start talking to other teams and different people, especially if you're running the same race as someone and you're waiting for your heat. You just get to know people, and I really developed some good friendships
Yeah,
as a
and it
result of that.
Mr. Oliver, always talked about the legends. He talked about you. He talked about the Brenda Moorheads, all the ones that competed at a high level.
Mm.
So to be able to even be on here, it's an honor because you are a legend and you always got talked about, even to the younger, track members, back in the days, they talked about you highly and different things. And you're 1988,
86.
86, yeah,
I
1986 state.
graduated 86. Yeah.
Okay, y'all team that went down to states. Take us
Yes.
back to that. Did y'all come up short just by a little? Like, how was it?
Yes.
And what take us through that day in that race if you could.
So, it doesn't take that many points in triple A. Back then it was triple A. Now I hear that there's divisions and stuff like that. But triple A, you know, the hardest division to get through in the state. We actually had an injured team member. If we would have had our fourth team member, we may have won the state track meet. So we played Carvella Holmes, my teammate. Shout out to Carvella,
Yeah,
my
shout out,
sorority sister too.
shout out your whole team out. That was on it.
Carvella placed in the 100 and 200.
Wow.
Jackie Sanders, my classmate. She lives here in Maryland in this area with me. She placed in the 400, and then I placed in the 800. So those points matter. And then so we were runner up to Cleveland Beaumont High School, it's all girls high school. And they were a strong, mighty team, a whole team. But they had high jumpers and pole vaulters, you know, they had all this other stuff. So they were able to rack up those points. But for 3 young ladies to place runner up in the state of Ohio and put those points on the board, that was a big thing.
Yeah, and you know, I think I told you, I don't know if I messaged you and told you, well, Coach Matt Davis, James Townsend, Carnell Smith, Coach
Yeah.
A. Harris, those are all my coaches, and they come from 85. And even Big Nash, they talk about y'all school and the different athletes that came and just the
Yes.
school spirit. What does Scott and the tradition mean to you?
Oh my God. Scott, oh my goodness. It was the best decision to go there, go to Scott. Oh my God, his family. We had so many teachers and coaches that really we knew that they cared about us, and they spent time with us. They made us want to stay after school and do those activities. And what I found is as I started coaching, when I graduated from college and came back home to coach, it was really hard to get the students to stay after school because the parents would tell them, you need to go to work. You know, like we had to literally make track sexy for them again, you know, for them to stay after school and do A, B, and C instead of getting in trouble, and like focus and let's track and field is your the way out, you know, to go to college and explore the world.
Yeah, did it take them long to buy in, being that they know you, they know the success that you had, and hear your name and legacy, or did they buy straight in?
It took a minute, and it took a lot. It wasn't really the student, it really was the parent.
Wow.
Those parents in that generation changed. So just kind of trying to convince the parent, your child is going to be safe with me. I'll bring them home after school, you know, after practice. And that's what Mr. Oliver did for us. He had 2 vans and he took all of us home, all that, you know, that needed transportation. He
Yeah.
made sure we got home safely. He built a rapport with the parents of every student, every young lady bulldog. And I did the same thing. And I took some young ladies, not track and cheerleaders, down to Kentucky State because it was summer one year and a lot of young ladies didn't know what college they were going to. So I took them down to Kentucky State on a whim, got permission from their parents, took them to Kentucky State, and like 3 or 4 of them ended up going to Kentucky State. So I'm proud of that.
What was your choice in going to Kentucky State? How was that, and what made you gravitate towards Kentucky State?
So I was recruited by a lot of schools, Big Ten, but some schools were offering just partial scholarships. Iowa, Ohio State, University of Toledo was offering a full ride. But I really, you know, we looked up to Brendan Moorhead, and we really wanted to be a Tennessee State Tiger Bear. We wanted to run for Coach Temple at Tennessee State. Well, they were only offering a partial. So I said, okay. Other Kentucky State reached out and said, we can give you everything financial aid doesn't give you. And I had no clue that Kentucky State University was a HBCU at the time. I'm thinking it's in Kentucky, there's no Black colleges. I didn't think that. So my dad and I drove to Kentucky on a hot summer day with the windows down, no air conditioner, our little Chevette scooter. And we drove down there, and I looked around, I was like, it's nothing but us here. What's going on? It's African-American people here. And come to find out it was a HBCU, and it was the best decision ever. I'm so glad that Coach Head back then gave me that. He was the athletic director at the time, gave me a full scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you majored in human services, correct?
So I majored my undergrad. I got my bachelor's degree at Kentucky State University in sociology
Okay.
and a minor in gerontology, study of the elderly. And then when I got my master's, I got my master's degree in counseling at University of Toledo
Okay.
through a program through the United Way Mental Health Board Scholarship. I got a scholarship for that too, for grad school. So I didn't have a lot of college bills with, thank goodness, thank
Yeah,
goodness.
thank God.
Shout out to Juanita Price, who was the executive director of Connecting Point, and she nominated me to be in that scholarship program. And the reason why they had a program like that, because they needed more minority counselors in the district. They didn't have any counselors or therapists. They only had two counselors. I think it was Larry Hammy and Dr. Linden Whittington Clark. There were only so many therapists serving our community at that time. So the whole goal was to get more people with master's degrees in counseling to start doing therapy.
Yeah. We just want to spring back just to your college career real quick, then we're gonna go back to your degree. What accolades and how was it your experience down there during your track for those 4 years?
At Kentucky State,
Yes.
oh, it was great. It was like Scott, for me, was Scott High School was the all the way up to the 12th grade. And then Kentucky State was like the 13th, 14th to 15th. It was like, it was a smooth transition. Everything, all those values and Black history and everything that I learned at Scott, it was amplified at Kentucky State. So much so that like I bloomed. Like I started doing more leadership stuff. I was Student Government Association senator, lady in waiting to be Miss Kentucky State. I always wanted to be a cheerleader at Scott. I ended up being a cheerleader at Kentucky State. Injured myself a little bit, but I healed. The coach was mad. But I got to meet people from all over. I mean, from Africa. A lot of people think with HBCUs, when it's a state after a HBCU, that means they're public and they have to let everybody in that HBCU. So a lot of people don't know that Kentucky State is pretty much half and half. It's predominantly African American, what our traditions calls culture, football team, homecoming, Greek life, all of that. But they also have night class people that come from the state that work at the state that can go cheap, go to school cheaper there. So we had 9 African American folks all over the place, but they were usually around it for night school and stuff like that. And then some of them got a little bug and wanted to hang out on our campus and hang with us a little longer, So to this day, it's almost like it's so much like drumline. We had a few, students who were not African American that were in our band. That I had my first roommate was from Hazard, Kentucky, and she was Caucasian, So they wanted to be there. So a lot of people, these days people are trying to critique the HBCUs, but little do they know we let Hispanic, Caucasian, everybody is welcome. And so that was the theme, that how I described Kentucky State University is everybody is somebody at KSU. Shout out to Kentucky State University. Because they made me feel like I was somebody.
Yeah, my college roommate at Walsh transferred from our school, ended up going down there, so he graduated. So I used to hear all the stories and all the tradition and legacy, about you guys' this college or whatever. How did your education translate to helping you in coaching and even helping you to be helpful in the community and even among others that was in need?
Having a degree in counseling, taught me how to build a rapport with youth. I think that's still my thing. I'm still drawn to people that are younger than me. I believe in mentoring. I believe in passing the baton on to the next person. I believe in giving the youth sometimes the answers to the test of life.
Yeah.
So it was already in me. I think just studying theory and all that to get the credential to sociology is study of people. So I was always curious about how human beings interact. So it was a nice segue to get my master's of education and counseling. So it helped enhance what I know, what I already do.
Yeah. How can we continue to keep that up, and even where we fall short, continue to have the communicate? I even think with Scott, like sometimes we fall not having people be on the same thing. It's a lot of gatekeepers. People don't want this person to be involved. But like you said, you're giving the students the secret weapon, you're giving them the ingredients, and then more people around in the neighborhood, the community should be able to be on the same board. So what do we do for where we falling short and where we lacking? Because the kids is being affected. Our school, our program is being affected. So what do you think can be made or should be done?
We need to start calling that out. If people are gatekeeping, and that's not how we were treated when we were at Scott and
Yeah.
in the community. Old school needs to stop gatekeeping. They need to go ahead and pass that baton and start cultivating younger people to do A, B, and C, whether to be a coach in the future, whether to be the best runner they can be, or the best football player or whatever. But they need to definitely look out for our own.
Yeah, and then even like you'll see, have you been to a Bulldog weekend lately?
No, not in the last 8 years.
Okay. Yeah, so you will see all these people that then went to Scott and they move or the vicinity changes so their kids go to different schools. So, we still got the support, but it seemed like it's something missing that the pride, the camaraderie, even the community needs to, get a lift off so we can go back to the reserves and be able to, to be the school that we can be even with the sports and stuff like that. Cause it just seemed like we're falling short and there's so many athletes, there's so many talented young student athletes that excels in the classroom as well that still goes there to allow us to keep up because the Catholic schools are getting the players and they're excelling, but it's just something about Scott that you learn education wise, and it helps you for life, things that you learn that you've been through in life, meeting people, being on the broad stage, seeing a person like you winning awards, but you elevating and you taking it. Now you're in a whole nother state, but you still from Scott, you still from Toledo, and it's inside your DNA, and all what's inside you, you're able to reciprocate and give to others around you, even in your field now.
Mm-hmm. That disheartens me that this is happening. I didn't know that these kind of things are taking place where I always still thought this guy still had it going on. So I didn't know anything about.
And just my opinion. Some people might
Okay.
think different, but just me, I just think it's something missing because I feel like, we hold Scott at a different standard, so we should do it all the way around. It shouldn't just be no, oh, that's okay, getting the programs up. And I think, they're doing better. Like shout out to the Davises, Miss Tierra and her husband Richard. They had a lot of great athletes this year. Some performed on the national level, city league winner. So, that's coming back up. The football program is coming back up, but just the consistency, because sometimes we'll be good for a minute, then we'll fall right back down and different like that. But just to have it to be consistently having the great athletes, but just great students that can do anything, even if it ain't sports, be in the community, be on boards, be leaders of banks and, different things like that.
So, again, I feel like we did good. We have so many people that are alumni of Scott that are doing wonderful things. So I think I think just like any school or university, they have the ups and downs,
Yeah.
from the Morehouses to the Spelmans to Harvard you have your ups and downs. 1 minute they're in the NCAA championship, 1 minute they're not. Sometimes they got to build a program up. Sometimes coaches change, things change. So I just think it's just a slope. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. And I watched your interview and your video and different things like that. I want to first, before we go on, give a moment of silence for your parents, if that's
Oh,
okay.
yes, thank you.
Yeah. You had a connection with your father with sports and just to connect it. Did that push you to be the great athlete that you could be because of that connection? And how much did that help you to be the great athlete that you were?
My dad wanted a boy. And when he found out it was a girl, he split his pants at the hospital, all in excitement. Oh, it's a girl. He was, but I guess he decided as soon as he looked at me, I was an apple his eye, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna give it this. Time went on. He just started doing athletic type things, baseball, riding bikes,
Yeah.
giving me that tennis racket. And that was and we loved sports together. Like he would take me to different things, and we just had that connection with sports and politics. That was our me and my dad's thing. And he would travel all the way to Kentucky for our meets when we had home meets, and then drive all the way back the same day.
Wow.
He was incredible. He was so he was always leaning on the fence over at Bowser High School for the city track meet, you know. He made it a point to support me and in every way. And I needed that. I needed to look up and see him in the stands. So
Yeah, and then I could tell family means a lot.
yes.
You just was embedded in you from your mom, your dad, like you said,
Yeah.
stuff that you had inside you. That it's a blessing to see that you have a heart and that you have that, because some
Yeah.
people don't have that.
Yeah.
They're all about their self or what they can do and not trying
Mhm.
to pass it along. Where you consistently helping, you consistently being involved. And I even thank you for this, opportunity, because time is something you can't get back. You could be doing other stuff, but
Yeah.
your journey to be, you told, and and others to be able to see and hear from you to motivate them as well. So we
Mhm.
really appreciate that as
I
well.
like to give a shout out to my mother too. She was a caterer in Toledo, and she used to be the person that people called, "Hey, Miss Early, can you help us out over here at Munchies? We got, health code violation. Can you help us out?" She'll come and show them how to clean things, how to not dip this sauce and that sauce, and with the same spoon. I mean, my mom was incredible too. Because of that, I have the gift of cooking because of her.
What was one of her specialty dishes that she
Oh, she
taught?
had so many.
Oh.
Uh, well, just typical meals, soul food meals that we love. We love our salmon patties, rice and peas. She made the best fried chicken. She made the best shrimp creole. She made the best lemon bars. She was a baker too. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I can go on and on and on. My
Did she
mom could
did she
prepare
have some
anything.
ingredients that was secret that she didn't want to give to you?
No, not really.
Not really. Okay.
Not really. She just knew what to do in the kitchen. Not just soul food. She knew how to do bar mitzvahs, and
Oh,
she
wow.
could do any kind of food you could think of. She was definitely way ahead of her time. She was making lattes before there was a Starbucks and croissants over at a place called the Sip over in Westgate.
Okay.
Um it used to be called at one point it was called Sufficient Grounds, that it just keeps turning over to different coffee house names. But my mom used to work with a gentleman from France, and they brought the latte here before there was Starbucks.
Wow.
So she was great. She was very creative. She did her research. She loved reading and looking at recipes, and so I she was just a blessing. I'm working on a cookbook in her name, in her
Oh,
honor.
oh, oh, yeah. Let us know, man. We'll let her, spotlight that as well and share it as well, and help others reach out, because that's gonna be a blessing, passing down the legacy, from your mom as well. When did you knew that you were gonna receive the award that you was gonna receive, and what award was it? Can you tell everybody?
I think about, what was it, 3 months ago,
Okay.
I got a message from Miss Price saying, well, first it was we're nominating. And
Oh,
then about 3 months prior to now, Miss Price said, "You are one of the recipients. Congratulations." And I was like, "What?" I didn't. So then I learned so much more about what it all meant. And as I was learning, they were telling me, send this, send that, send your photos, send any artifacts, da da da. And I barely had anything because when my parents passed, I just kind of left the stuff in the house when we let the house go. And so I kind of regret that now. But yeah, I that's how it all started.
wow. When you were accepting the award, when you got to the day you put on the red blazer and you accepted the award, was thoughts going through your head about your mom, your dad, just being
Oh,
how how proud they was, and all
oh,
the knowledge and all the information and life that they taught you, and
yeah,
it's being receptive, and people being able to see the reflection of what both of them instilled inside you? Did you have a moment
yeah.
that you needed to take?
Yeah, it was a lot. Very overwhelming. I wish they were here to see it. But thank goodness I have a really good village. I have my sister, my brother, one of my dear friends I grew up with, Stacy Farmer. We just lost her daughter a year ago, Sierra Farmer.
Sorry.
I had my uncle Will, we still have folks here that were there able to witness it. And I know that my mom and dad were looking down on me.
Yeah. What advice would you have for track runners now and today? What knowledge or information or wisdom could you give to them?
Oh, so much has changed. Like, look at Shakari. I mean, she's
Yeah.
FloJo on steroids. All we had was FloJo. When back then when we were running, couldn't wear makeup, couldn't wear earrings, nothing. By the time they take your picture at the Blade Relays, when you win something, they take your picture, you're sitting there looking stupid, sweaty. They would never let you even pose. So much has changed. Vanity has changed in track and field. And when you don't, and I always used to say that if you don't look good, you don't feel good. So then when FloJo came out, I'm in college now when FloJo's doing her thing. And we were like excited that we went from the little silk shorts to the bodysuits. We were like, yes, I got to do my squats so I can get my FloJo. We call them FloJo dents. So we
Okay.
get our dents. So vanity, but it also, it helped our esteem. So if you didn't look good, so we started looking good and feeling good and running. I mean, running with pride and egos. Our egos got bigger. You have to have a pretty good thick skin running track. You have to have it's a lot of discipline, and you have to have thick skin running track. And so much has changed. Look, Shakari is it. She is.
And somebody just compared her today on Sports Center to FloJo as well, just by how she running and what she running in her times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think if her starts is to where they need to be, I think she'll win it.
Yeah, she's fire.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of other runners. I have a good friend here. Her daughter is trying out for the hurdles. LSU has a fire track team. So she just graduated from LSU and she's on LSU's track team. Her name is Leah Phillips. Shout out to Leah Phillips.
Shout out to Leah Phillips. We need to get her on here.
I see what we could do. I see what we
Okay.
can do.
Yeah, she runs with Aaliyah Armstrong. She from LSU too. She wear all the little rhinestones all on her.
Yeah, they are. The
Yeah.
LSU's team is fire. They little team. They've been building that little team. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now, as far as we didn't have endorsements like that, it was rare. So to run after college, it wasn't like you go pro or you got endorsements. It wasn't until later on where people started getting endorsements. Only if you were a potential Olympian. Now they are recruiting these young ladies to go to other countries and represent the country from America.
Yeah.
So it's a different day. Social media has helped tremendously to put, to really showcase runners. And they have figured it out. Runners have figured out how to promote their stuff, how to get endorsements.
Yeah.
And the game is changing in track and field. It's almost like with the whole thing with basketball for women.
Yeah.
Track and field is starting to be on the map.
Couple more questions, I get you out of here. Do you like the Ravens or Washington since you down there?
So here's my story on any football, pro football, and that's where I like the rawness. Pro football, pro basketball. I don't have a fan like here you got your Dallas fans, your Washington Commanders fans. I'm not that girl. I am a college football and basketball girl. I like to see athletes before they go pro and get tainted with money. Well, now college is getting like that too, but right now I like to see it fresh and raw. So I don't have a favorite NBA or NFL team. I'm college football. I do like Alabama. I do like Nick Saban. I like Alabama. And then, I support the Ohio States, the Michigan States and all that. But I like to see, especially, basketball too. I like to see people when they're in college, even with this whole thing with track and field. I like to see them in college. What happens after that?
Because I understand what you're saying because money starts to get involved. Then everything else is so political, so it's like they're not even really playing for the love heart like they had that competitive nature in college. They're in the pros, so I can definitely understand what you're saying.
Just like that Bulldog pride, Scott Bulldog pride. Like it's just not, it's pride. And Yeah, it's kind of hard when you're negotiating millions of dollars and then you know, on these
Yeah.
teams and you could really care less about the community
Yeah.
that you're playing sports for. So people don't really buy into them knowing that, you know, they're not really genuine. They're just playing football or basketball, pro, you
Yeah.
know.
Last question or statement. Can you speak whatever comes on your heart to the youth? Something positive, encouraging?
Youth, if I could speak to each and every one of you, I know some of you all are having tough times growing up, maybe not even getting the support from family and your parents, may not even have your parents in your life. Be open. I'm sure there's someone like an auntie or someone who wants to be your mentor. Let them in and consider an extracurricular activity after school. It is the gateway out of what's going on in our society today, especially in urban areas. I encourage you to take up a sport, some kind of sport, extracurricular activity, chess, tennis, track and field, whatever it may be. Do something constructive. That's what my dad used to say, do something constructive. Do something constructive so you can focus and graduate and move on and explore. Leave Toledo and come back.
Yeah.
You know, explore other things and meet other people, and you'll be surprised what kind of nuggets or jewels you'll find yourself giving back to other youth in your lives. And that's what I did. I went away to Kentucky State, came back home and coached, spent time with the 9 years helping the community, counseling the community, coaching the community, and working with parents. And eventually I moved away. And I did the same thing wherever I'm at. When I was in Detroit, I was helping the community. And here I'm helping the community. So
Yeah.
just staying true. Just stay true to who you are.
Yeah, and we thank you for this opportunity. We pray that God will continue to bless you, continue to cover you. We pray that He will continue to be with you, give you strength, even on those tough days where you're missing your parents. May their legacy live through you, and may you continue to be a reflection of them. And may you continue to have a heart after God by serving the community and being helpful to others and those in need, because people in need getting taken care of, that means we're dying to ourselves and saying we're seeing about the needs of others before ourselves, and that's how we're supposed to do it. So we thank you. We honor you and your legacy and
Thank
your
you.
commitment to, helping others, and even the school, Scott, Kentucky State, even the schools that you went to after that, you still, did what you needed to do and still helped, and the states and stuff you've been in. So it's been a pleasure, and we really appreciate this.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.